Alright, so today we're going to talk about how to use a stud finder. There's many types of stud finders. I have two different types here, and I'm going to show you how to use these. This is your typical Stanley stud finder, and you can see that not only does it find studs, but there's also an AC button, and that tells you when you're closer to AC circuits. That will blink and tell you that there's a circuit nearby, a live circuit, so you got to be careful. And you can see here on this one, it says edge. So this one finds the edge of the stud. And this is a typical Stanley stud finder. And then we have here another one, a little bit more expensive. This one has an LCD. It's a Zircon one step. And this one works a little bit different. This one we'll see actually tells you when you're in the middle of the stud, and it will actually outline the stud for you, the beginning, and then it'll blink once it's in the middle. So it's a little bit different, but again, this also does AC, and when it senses AC, it will tell you that there's AC. This one right here is cheaper than this one, but they basically do the same thing. I like this one because this one finds the stud right in the middle. Let's go to our mock-up wall that we have here, and I'll show you how to find the stud with a stud finder. All right, so here we have our mock-up wall. You can see we have the stud here, and then I'm just using this plywood here as sheetrock. Basically, typically, this is what you're going to have. You're going to have the stud in the back, and then you're going to have the sheetrock in front. Sometimes it's a quarter, half, 5/8, whatever it is. Doesn't really matter, but you're always going to have the stud, and that's what you're going to be looking for. And then on the front here, you're going to have your sheetrock. So typically, these studs here, they're 16 on center. So the center point of the stud is 16 on center. So when you find the first stud, you can go ahead and measure from the center of this stud to the other stud on this side here, and it should be 16 inches. So why you want to use a stud finder is to initially find the first stud, or if you're not sure if they're 16 on center, you want to use the stud finder as well. So let's go ahead and use the stud finders to find that stud. And typically you don't get to see the stud, but we're going to run it to the top here, and we're going to see what happens when it finds the stud. And I want to point out a few differences for you. So the first stud finder that we're going to use is this Stanley stud finder, and this is a regular stud finder. There's nothing magical about it. So this one, you can see it says edge, which means is as soon as the light lights up, you're on the edge of the stud. It's not going to find the middle, it's going to find the edge. It's very different. Some of them find the exact middle of the stud, some of them find the edge. So in other words, the edge is this part right here. It's going to find this, and then you're going to have to figure out where the middle is, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But when this blinks, it's actually going to find this edge right here. So let's go ahead and test it. So you can see there's a button right here. We're going to press this button in, and we're going to press this button in once we're up against our sheetrock here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press up against the sheetrock here, hold it in place, and while holding it, just move it, and there you go. So normally what you would do is, because it found the edge right there, right? So you can see where it found the edge. You're going to go ahead and make a pencil mark right here. So like I did here, right? So there's a pencil mark right here, so you can see. So now what you want to do is slide it from the opposite way. Go ahead and put it up against your sheetrock. Press the button in. Wait till the light disappears, and then slide it. And there you go. So that's how you find the opposite edge. And what you notice too is if you put the stud finder right between those two points, the two edges, the middle is right here. And more or less it's going to give you where the stud is. Okay, so this one is a little harder to use. There's no LCD, but typically these are the cheaper ones, and you can get these anywhere. So now we have the Zircon. The Zircon works a little bit different. It will actually display on the LCD when it sees the stud. So this one is a little bit easier to use. It's a little bit more expensive, and I'm going to leave Amazon links for both of these on the description. But this one, this is the Zircon one-step stud sensor I-65, and it's a little bit better. A little bit more expensive. So let's give this one a try. Again, you're going to go ahead and press the stud finder up against your sheetrock. Press the button once it's against it, and we're going to go through it. And there you see, it can see the edge. And then as it goes through it, boom, it finds the middle of the sheetrock. So this one that works a little bit different. So let's try this again with the Zircon. We're going to go ahead and press the stud finder up against the sheetrock. In this case, it's plywood. We're going to press it again. And then we're going to press the button in, and then we're going to go slowly, and you can see right now on the display that it found the edge, right? And we're going to keep going, and boom, you can see right on the display there's a line, and we're right in the middle. And if we keep going, you can see the stud's going to go to the left, and as we keep going, the stud disappears. So the other tip with these stud finders is the button that turns on the stud finder. If you press it once, it's going to give you whatever the default depth is. If you press it twice and even 3 times, it'll give you a higher depth. So if you have sheetrock that's a quarter, that's a ½ inch, or that's a 5/8, 3/4, whatever it is, this will find the stud. So this will give you deeper scanning levels if you press it more than once. So if you press it once, that's the default, and if you press it twice, it goes to the next level, and then 3 times, and you're on a deeper scan. And you have to read the manual for your stud finder to find out at each press the depth that it goes to. This Zircon also has deep scan. If you press it twice while it's up against the sheetrock, it does a deeper scan. This one's just a little bit easier to use if you're a novice and you need to know where it is. This will find. So a lot of people get confused when they especially buy these, and they think that as soon as it beeps, you're right in the middle, when in reality, you're on the edge. With this one, it takes the guesswork out if you're a novice, and you'll find where the stud is right away with no problems. So there is an AC function that you can use in order to find if you're next to wires, next to live circuits. These will notify you of live electricity, and they have an AC button here on most of them, or this one will just say AC on the display, and it will show you that there's a live wire, so you got to be careful. So let me demonstrate that for you next to a live wire. So I'm going to show you how sensitive these stud finders are when they see an electric current, live electricity, a wire behind the sheetrock. In this case, we have something connected to an outlet, but it's the same thing. You know, you would have the sheetrock on top of here, but I'm just going to show you what would happen. So as I press the button on this stud finder, when I gotta press it in, you can see that it's not finding anything. There's no stud. If I put my hand, then it thinks there's a stud here, right? Look, so you can see. Notice the display as I get closer to this electrical wire. As I go, you can see it already. There's the AC. I'm gonna take it away. It's out of here. As soon as it sees a current, it'll display the AC right on the display, telling you to be careful. So you can see I move it out, and it's out of the way. As I move into the wire here, next to the wire, the AC comes on, and I move away, the AC is out of there. So I'm going to move back, and then I get closer to these wires, AC. This one, when I press it, you can see the AC light is not lit, but as I bring it closer to a live circuit, there it is, it blinks. So we'll move it back. As I bring it back to a live circuit, and this one is really sensitive on the Stanley, and we're going to go ahead and move away from it and see what happens. And it just detected. There you go. It just stopped. So those are the basics of how to use a stud finder. There's many different stud finders, and I just had these two laying around. They're a little bit different. One has the LCD, the other one doesn't. And again, the main difference here is when you use these stud finders, you got to understand that when it first starts blinking, and you can see it says edge here, you're at the edge. Don't, when it starts blinking, assume that you're in the middle and then you mark in the middle. That's incorrect. You're at the edge. This one, on the other hand, gives you a visual of the stud, so it's easier to figure out if you're at the edge or not. This one is where a lot of people make mistakes. They'll go through as soon as they blinks, and they'll go ahead and put a line there. So these are the basics pretty much of how to find a stud with a stud finder, and I hope it's been helpful. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I got to the point, and check out the channel. You won't be disappointed. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.